Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn history, today the Treaty of Amiens, and after we've done it, we're going to do ECU Tendon training. The ECU Tendon is here, and if you participate in the ECU Tendon training, that's the honest. This is by 4 or 5. We had already, the Treaty of Amiens was 1802, mainly between Britain and France, and Britain was accepting France as the French Republic after the French Revolution, or with Napoleon as the emperor, or that's what happened now a bit later. And also was given up territory, but Britain could keep Sidon and Trinidad. France was giving up Naples and Egypt, and 1 year of peace followed. Now, Napoleon used the interlude of his 1 year of peace following the Treaty of Amiens 1802 for major internal reforms, such as the promulgation of a new legal system under the Napoleonic Code, making peace with the Vatican by the Concordat, and issuing a new constitution that gave him lifetime control. So, he had 1 year of an interlude of 1 year peace, and he did major reforms. He promulgated a new legal system with a Napoleonic Code. He made peace with the Vatican, with the Concordat, and he made a new constitution, so basically a new country, in which he was for his whole life the leader. France made territory gains in Switzerland and Italy, but however, Napoleon's goal of North American empire collapsed with the failure of his army in Haiti. So he gave it up and sold the Lusitania territory to the United States. I imagine the following. He had territory in the mainland United States, or what we are today. Where the United States already existed. He had a territory where Louisiana today is, but his main army was in Haiti, and it was fighting something else, and it failed there. And now he could not keep on his dream of a North American, North American empire, a French North American empire, and he was now where his army had lost. So selling the Louisiana territory to the United States. That's what I understand. The Democratic Republican administration of President Thomas Jefferson of the United States used British banks to fund the Louisiana Purchase, reduced the American military budget, and partly dismantled the Hamiltonian Federalist financial program. Let's read it again, that's very interesting. The Democratic Republican administration. Now, what, Democratic or Republic? Maybe it was a coalition? Whatever, there was a Democratic Republican administration in the United States in 1802. The president was Thomas Jefferson, and he used British banks, as how he was taking, what is it called, lending? He was lending money from British banks. With that money, he then purchased the Louisiana territory. And it was more or less because of that necessary to reduce the American military budget. So the United States was less spending on military money, and partly dismantled the Hamiltonian Federalist financial program. Hamiltonian, so probably was the US president previously who had the name Hamilton, and he had made a Federalist financial program, whatever that means. Okay, there was also change in the United States because of it. The French West Indies, as a result of the treaty, no longer needed to use American ships to move their products to Europe. So what was it? The French West Indies, so there are West Indies, and in the Caribbean there are islands, and they are the West Indies, and to that time there seemed to be some of the French West Indies. And as a result of the treaty, they no longer needed to use American ships to move their products to Europe. So the French West Indies were shipping their goods on American ships to Europe. Although the terms of the treaty did not favor his country, British Prime Minister Henry Eddington used the interlude to rebuild British strength, so that when fighting renewed in spring 1803, the Royal Navy quickly gained control of the seas. Okay. The treaty did not favor the British. Britain was giving up most of its recent contests and was accepting Napoleon as the new ruler after the abolishing of the monarchy. These are the main things I think we heard so far. But the United Kingdom wanted the peace to enable restoration of trade with continental Europe. It also wanted to end its isolation from other powers and achieved its goal by a rapprochement with Russia, which provided the momentum to negotiate the treaty with France. Now, the British Prime Minister Henry Eddington at the time used that 1 year to rebuild the strength of the British Navy. or just of a British troops at all. And now when the fighting resumed in 1803, the British Navy was superior and could gain control over the seas. However, the isolationist foreign policy of the United States, which was hostile to both Britain and France, was strongly opposed by the Federalist minority in Congress, came under heavy pressure from all sides. Let's do this again. However, the isolationist foreign policy of the United States, which was hostile to both Britain and France, and strongly opposed by the Federalist minority in Congress, came under heavy pressure from all sides. It was opposed by the Federalist minority. It was the Democratic Republican administration under Thomas Jefferson, and the isolationist foreign policy was opposed by the Federalist minority in Congress. And also, did Britain and France not like it? Early diplomacy is the next chapter. Let's start reading a little bit. The War of the Second Coalition started well for the coalition. That is what here ended with it. The Treaty of Amiens, what we're talking about, it marked the end of the French Revolution wars. After a short, what was it in? The Treaty of Amiens marked the end of the Second Coalition, which had waged war against the revolution in France since 1798. The War of the Second Coalition started well for the coalition with success in Egypt, Italy and Germany. The success proved to be short-lived, however. After France's victories at the battles of Marengo and Hohenlinden, Austria, Russia and Naples sued for peace. Naples seemed to be its own country maybe at that time. But I heard something. And they sued for peace, with Austria eventually signing the Treaty of Luneville. Horatio Nelson's victory at the Battle of Copenhagen on the 2nd April 1801 halted the creation of a League of Armed Neutrality and led to a negotiated ceasefire. We will continue here in the next part. We will do now the ECU 10 training. If you were here for history, the Treaty of Amiens, you can go directly to the next video. We will do now the ECU 10 training. If you participate in the ECU 10 training, what is the difference? Good in Stable 10. Hands next to us, hands form to fists, and we bring these fists down the floodgate. And again up. And again down. And up. We're having 3 rules. The first rule is that we're stopping immediately as soon as there's pain. Get up. The second rule is that we're going only as fast as we can go for a little bit of effort and last time down. And the third rule is that we're not overdoing it. That means we just want to strengthen, not to exhaust. Next exercise, we counterfight managing. Hands form to fist, and we bring the fists up. And again down. And again up. And again up. And again down. That's enough. And the next exercise, I'm going to use a tennis racket. A tennis racket is light, just around 300 grams, but it has a low lever. So whatever you use, do it in accordance with all 3 rules. The first exercise, the mannequin go small arm in, and we bring the arms, the hands slowly on to the side. And back over the left side. It's slow. And one more round. Now long arm out. Side. Last time. Now left. Yeah, first photo. And last side. Back in a minute. Now with a long arm. And last side. And on to the next exercise. Let's keep it quick second. So we're going just to the last exercise. Take a sock or a towel or whatever and press with good pressure on it. And now bring the wrist up. And again down the wrist. Up. And that's it. So last time. So now, bring your wrist up. Hang up. Last exercise. Just press it good force. And this was short ECU training. I think I'm not. And next time.